Good day, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity to present. I hope you can see my presentation.
Yeah.
Great. So my name is Mpho Sadiki. I'm an Earth observation data scientist with Digital Earth Africa, and today I will be speaking about how Digital Earth Africa can support or supports Earth observation applications across Africa with analysis-ready data. So what we do at Digital Earth Africa, I guess you'll get to understand as I go through the presentation, but we support a wide range of domains, including disaster risk reduction, biodiversity, water resources, and land management. So the focus of this presentation will not be necessarily on a single application, but rather showcasing how Digital Earth Africa acts as a cross-cutting enabling mechanism that provides data and tools needed to support multiple activities. So to begin with, I think we need to look at the broader context. We see that the African continent is increasingly experiencing environmental pressure, which includes frequent climate variability, ongoing land degradation, significant ecosystem changes. And these are not isolated issues. They are interconnected and they're occurring at various scales from local to continental. And because of this, there is a need for consistent long-term environmental monitoring. We need to be able to track the changes, understand the patterns, and respond effectively. Now, on the surface, this might seem easily achievable because we already have decades of satellite imagery available. But this is where the real challenge comes in. Most of the data is not immediately usable. It is raw, it is large in volume, it requires processing, infrastructure, and technical expertise that are not always available. So we see this disconnect. The data exists, but it's not being fully used to support decision making. And this is exactly the gap that Digital Earth Africa addresses. We take the complex satellite data, transform it into analysis-ready data, make it a little bit more accessible, and enable our users to move from simply having the data to actually using it to monitor the environment. So Digital Earth Africa brings together satellite data from major global space agencies, including the European Space Agency and USGS. So bringing in data from missions such as Sentinel and Landsat. But instead of just storing this data, we process it into what we call analysis-ready data. In practice, this means the data has already been pre-processed to a high standard, allowing you as a user to immediately start using it for analysis without having to spend or invest a significant amount of time to prepare the data. And this is very important because it allows you to perform time series analysis immediately without having to pre-process, correct for the atmosphere, do geometric corrections. And the data is structured in such a way that it's easy to just query the data you need for your area of interest and the time of interest. And the entire system is cloud native, which removes the need for users to have their own high performance computing infrastructure. And at the core of Digital Earth Africa is Open Data Cube, which enables us to organize the data, analyze large volumes of satellite data across space and time. And it is the Digital Earth Africa Data Cube is actually currently the largest implementation globally of an open data cube. And this data cube is hosted within Africa in Cape Town with AWS, Amazon Web Services, supported by their Amazon Sustainability Data Initiative. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, the way the data is structured, you get to access the data that you need for your specific area without needing to ever download large data sets, so you can work efficiently without efficiently with the areas and time periods that you're interested in. And to make this data a little bit more accessible, we have different entry points. There's a simple web-based visualization service that we offer, the maps, the Digital Earth Africa maps, where you can just go in and visualize all the data we have to offer, be it the satellite imagery, any of the value-added products we have, or any other data that we bring from external partners onto the platform. If you're a little bit more technical and want to do a little bit of more advanced analysis, we have our Jupyter Lab environment, which is called the Sandbox. You can go in there, use the already produced scripts that we have, develop your own, and do your own analysis. So overall, the idea is that we handle the complexity and you as a user focus on your specific applications. So building on that infrastructure, we provide two key components. We have the continental scale services, and a supporting notebook repository. So with the continental scale services, we provide consistent, ready-to-use information across Africa. So this is value-added products on the already provided satellite imagery that we bring into our data cube. So these include products such as water observations from space, fractional cover. If you're interested in coastline monitoring or anything of that matter, you can go check out and see which other products we have. There's a lot more that I'm not mentioning right now. But the idea is they allow you to track environmental change over time at a continental scale, while also having these data sets are also applicable at local and national scales as well. And what's important about these services is that they're not developed in isolation. We co-design them with partners across the continent. We ensure that they're relevant to real user needs and are supported by validation using in situ and ground-based data from our partners as well. Alongside this, we provide a repository of over 160 open source notebooks. These are organized into a few key thematic areas, as you can see, and they are developed, of course, collaboratively and often in response to a specific user need or a use case, and they are designed to support practical applications. Although we do provide these, they're not the end of what we provide. You can still develop your own in that cloud computing environment, our sandbox. If you're not happy with what we're providing you, or if you want to build and improve on what is already being provided, so that is a capability that exists to you. And of course, all of this is open and free, even for commercial use as well. And at the center of Digital Earth Africa is the idea of moving from data to insights. We're fundamentally democratizing access and use of Earth observation data across Africa. It is about turning data into something that people can actually use. So we don't just want to make the satellite data available, we want to make it usable in a way that you can easily support real decisions. And with consistent long-term Earth observation data, you can start to track changes, understand what is happening on the ground, and respond more effectively. And so whether you want to monitor water availability, you want to understand vegetation change, or identify areas that are under pressure, the real value comes from being able to use this data in a practical way. So this is where it connects to broader priorities such as sustainable development goals. And this is really the impact of Digital Earth Africa, taking something that is so technically complex and making it accessible and usable for real world applications. And for this to have a real impact, it needs to be embedded in institutions and used in practice. So we've built a continental partnership of partners across the continent and actually globally with over 35 partners, supporting implementation at national and regional levels. This is reflected also in the adoption of our platforms, where we have over 38,000 people accessing our Digital Earth Africa maps for visualization and over 8,000 registered users in our sandbox environment. And capacity development is a core part of all of this. To date, we have trained over 1,600 people across 130 institutions, including government, academia, the private sector, NGOs, supported through ongoing technical engagements, including our weekly live sessions, which we deliver in English and French. So it's not just about us providing the data and the tools, it is also about building a user base that can actually apply them. Of course, we are continuously expanding and improving our services, increasing our pipelines. Recently, we just brought in Sentinel-3 and 5P onto our pipelines. But I just want to highlight one of our very important services at this very moment, which is the Water Bodies Monitoring Service, which is a first of its kind for Africa. And if you look at the picture on the slide, you'll see that we're currently tracking over 700,000 individual water bodies across the continent. It's not just a static inventory. For each of these water bodies, the full time series has already been computed. So you don't need to spend time analyzing decades of data to find out this information. It's already computed for you. So it's a ready-to-use product that will be able to show you how the surface area of each water body has changed over time. And we update this on a weekly basis, so it is an operational service. This is a really nice product that we're now building on. It's a new thing that you can look forward to. I think at the end of this month, we will be releasing the water quality monitoring service. So instead of just detecting the surface water, we can now understand its condition, looking at indicators such as water color, suspended material, temperature, chlorophyll levels, and the likes. So how we are able to actually do this openly and freely for the entire continent is that we rely on a multi-partner funding model with core funding coming from the Helmsley Charitable Trust in the USA and the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. In addition, there's important in-kind contributions, one of which I mentioned earlier on, which is Amazon Web Services, which hosts our entire 7 petabytes of data on their service for free. So we don't have to pay for the storage of our data cube, which is a great initiative. And also we have partners like Esri who also help us continue this mandate and provide this data on a continental scale. And at the same time, we're trying to establish ourselves as a public data infrastructure for Africa with increasing engagement from African institutions. So for us, sustainability is not necessarily that we'll replace one model or source of support with another, but rather we are building a model where we can have donor funding, technical partnerships, and local adoption all play a role in making sure that this program is sustained and remains in African hands and continues to serve the continent for years to come. And before I wrap up, I just want to finally welcome you to join our learning platform. It is completely free and open to everyone. So if you're interested in learning more about Digital Earth Africa, getting started, you can obviously reach out to us. But if you want to do a self-paced course, the introduction to the sandbox, any of our master classes, you can even get a certificate at the end, which is exciting. So please do sign up for that and join our live sessions, which we have every Wednesday in either English or French, where you get to talk to the Digital Earth Africa team and see exactly how our data sets can be useful for your projects. That is all for me. Thank you very much.